The Star.
Yeah, y'all already know. Seven the Panther. That dude Biz on the beat. Yeah. We live in entertainment. Sound change. Crown the kings, homie. This is where it get ill. About to have the tip off live as a tip drill. From the court to the diamond, to the track, to the big skin flying round the field. Starting five forever, keeping it real. If it matters in the world of sports, jeans and long sleeves, they taking no shorts. Hot the death, oh yes, these are the sports podcasts live as a pro's corpse. Biz market wave, the starting five goes off. No matter who you cheer for, emotions out the window, they analyzing with clear thoughts. They take it way deeper than the boys ever. No longer got any use for the four letters. The latest news, score stats and the view from the sideline. Ain't no guideline, it's just the truth. Yeah, no need to dig for a pardon line. It's always in season. If people starting five. We going in on three. Run the baseline, starting five. Get it. We got what you need. If the sports news you see, we don't waste time. We talking cause we live it. We got what you need. We going in on three. Run the baseline, starting five. Get it. We got what you need. And y'all know me, seven sign. I'm the illest cat stick. I got what you need.
What up, everybody? We back. Newest episode of Starfire Podcast. Y'all know who I am by now. If you don't, you're playing yourself. But yeah, as always, we need y'all to follow all the information along at the bottom of the scroll. Follow us on the Instagram at starting5_podcast. You can follow me at Dan the Mayor on TikTok. The way TJ's pointing. Go to hooksrub.com. As we've been telling y'all, it is barbecue seasoning. It is barbecue season and it is barbecue seasoning time. And if you go to hooksrub.com, use the code starting5 to get 20% off your order of some of the best barbecue seasonings around. Coming soon, the homie Jared is going to have some sauces that are coming through. If you check out Hooks Rub on Instagram, he's been displaying some of them. He did like this whole rib tower that he made, pouring his sauce all over it. Man, listen, I'm ready for pause. I'm ready for all the sauce. In
You
the
look
mouth
like you got
and
hungry
stuff.
just now.
And on that note, we go to Mr.
Yo,
Big
that was a great segue because I'm outside trying to get some seasoning as we speak. You know what I'm saying? Clean some of this melanin back while it's still bright out. But what's up, gentlemen? It's been a good week. Beautiful weekend so far. One of the better weekends we've had since the summertime started. I hope it stays like this for the rest of the 12, not even like 10 weeks we got left this summer. Maybe we get an Indian summer like we usually do in New York, and it'll last till like end of September. I'd be appreciative of that. But other than that, all is good, all is well. Glad to see y'all brothers. What's up, Mr. Lisper?
I'm here. Glad to be here. As always, glad to be here. I had a good week too. I've been chilling, did some little things with the kids, but it's back to business. And I'm here, and I'm glad to be here. That's all.
Man, listen, y'all had good weeks. I had one of the most fuck you weeks in a long time. Like, I made a little mini vacation by going sick last week, and I resumed back to work on Tuesday, and I worked straight through from Tuesday to Saturday, working my day off on Thursday, and each day just progressively got more fuck you. This is the best way I can put it. Like, and my job isn't the worst thing. Like, my job, it's a simple job. Actually, maintaining and managing a crew of adults that are just working in the street and doing what they're supposed to do. It's easy, but there's just little intangibles behind it that is just it can make it feel stressful. It can make it feel like fuck you. Realistically, what up, Jamal? Working hard on the set. I can't say you crossing them picket lines because you're non-union, but next week the brothers should be back to normal. But yeah, man, it was just like one of the days. Like I had to go first attend to this community event. But shout outs to these people. They were taking care of in it was in Lefferts Gardens area of Brooklyn. They were doing a little community cleanup where they were cleaning like the tree pits and refreshing, resoiling tree pits, getting all the garbage out, and just making the neighborhood look beautiful. No problem. But I had to go over there, do say the hello, thank you on behalf of the city and sanitation, and whatever we could do to help you out right now. Like I'm gonna have a crew come back clean up later, yada yada. But all within that, the other details that I had working out in the street, like I have to like run to separate locations to take pictures, before and after pictures, to make sure like these locations are clean, and then just sign the cards just stating that I was there. I was watching them working productively, yada yada yada. But then I also have to take care of two districts. So I'm taking care of mine, and then I have to go to another side on top of, while trying to find, I'm not going to say what it is, but if you get what I'm saying, by, I have to find some of these. And then on top of that, Wingate Park is in my area. So during the week, I have to then go attend the meetings backstage with all the other organizers of the event, just to make sure of what sanitation's role is in doing and helping out the event, which they had the
Damn, you
huge.
sound like a politician, Dan. You sound like you shaking hands and kissing babies, dog.
Well, y'all call me the mayor, but I just I have to I have to do the dirty work that the higher ups should be there doing, which is not
Photo
much,
ops.
because which nah, none of that real. Well, the community event was, there was pictures involved in that one, because they was just like, just take a picture if you can with the volunteer crew, yada yada. But that was, I think, days after the Wingate Park summer stage events, and
Mm-hmm.
the dance hall joint on Wednesday. Yo,
Fire.
I wasn't there. I wasn't in the concert because I have to run around and do my work through the
Mm-hmm.
two districts. But when I did get in through the barricades past NYPD and stuff, and was just looking on, but also I'm looking to make sure the sidewalks are clean so I don't have to send my crews in there to go clean up. Yo, it was literally like gate to gate full of people for the dance hall reggae joint. Like Ding Dong was there, a couple of the notable dance hall reggae artists was there. And then the next night was K Michelle, Stokely, Chubb Rock. I seen
Oh
Chubb when I had
wow.
to go for the meeting for that. I saw Chubb Rock backstage, but TJ, you know me, when we're in those environments, I don't fanboy out. I don't go approaching and
Yeah.
shit like that. It's, if there's eye contact, then I'll go, yo, what's up? Thank you for what you've done for our culture,
Right.
yada yada. But I seen him, but I was
Right.
keeping the move. I had to write emails and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? But that one, not nearly as many people, but the fucking traffic in the neighborhood, insane. Where I was barely able to get. It took me 10 minutes to go 3 blocks to get to my garage, and one on the Wednesday night one. And it was just a hectic week of just having to just bounce from here to there to there to there, and all while I'm doing shit, while driving a piece of shit car. They finally downed. They needed freaking motor mounts, because every time I hit the gas, y'all know when an engine needs motor mounts, you hear that doom, like you hear the engine like bang bang, and that shit was John Witherspoon bang bang banging all week. And funny enough, that car just came back from the shop because the brakes, if I pressed the pedal, I was on the freaking firewall. It just came back from the shop
Damn.
for the brakes. Now I have to go back to the same shop to get the motor mounts, because the mechanics in my district don't do car work just because they don't have a lift. I mean, yeah, what kind of, and these West Indian mechanics, West Indian mechanics in Brooklyn, These niggas will work on the side of the street with bricks and one car jack.
This is fact.
And they don't do that. They
This is
don't do that
fact.
in the department. They don't do that. They don't do that shit. But all in all, whatever. It was a busy ass week. Crazy week for me. It was. I'm glad it was over. One day ain't enough to recharge. I need more, which I'm thankful. I'm on vacation in a couple weeks. But enough about me. The question of the week that I had for y'all. This ain't coming from TikTok. This is coming from years and years and years of listening to people talk and always using the words real hip hop when it comes to a certain, and it's only specified to a certain style of music. If you're like me, you know what hip hop truly is. But I'm asking each of y'all and anybody in the comments that wants to chime in to their opinion. What to you is real hip hop? Whoever wants to go first.
Real hip hop is a culture though. It's like the culture is real. The b boys, the graffiti artists, the DJs, the MCs, the dancers, the clothing we wear, the styles we have, the flair, the panache, all that shit is hip hop, and is expanded globally. Like there's not a place in the world that almost that hip hop hasn't touched. You know what I'm saying? It's a global phenomenon. The culture is real. That's what hip hop is to me. Hip hop is the culture. I don't know if people are trying to say rap music is real hip hop or a certain type of genre of subgenre of rap music is hip hop. They're conflating the issue. Hip hop is a culture. It's not just one specific thing. You got to look at when you say hip hop, you got to look at it everything, the entire field. That's what hip hop is to me. That's real. Now, if you're talking about real hip hop in that sense, and you got culture vultures coming in and corporate coming in trying to get their piece, then you could talk about what's real hip hop and what's these lists and are there black people in the room type shit. That's where you can say what real hip hop is and shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, yeah. How many black folks were in the room when this was real hip hop conversation was happening? How many people of color were in the room when these lists were being compiled? You know, these guys are coming in and they want to commercialize and bastardize everything. Who's making these decisions and claiming it was hip hop? You know what I'm saying? Then we can have a conversation about that. Outside of that, the culture is real. The
Yeah,
culture is real.
it's like, I mean, within a little bit of what you're saying when it comes to that, and y'all know how I feel about it. Like I always say, hip hop is my religion. Hip hop is my culture. It's my way of life. You know what I'm saying? It's everything. Like, just like a Christian and a Catholic or a Jew or Muslim, they have their thing. Like hip hop is that's my thing. But like when you talk
Right.
about the business end and the business aspect of things, like the business end of the of displaying the culture, that has been since the commercialization of it. And we
Right.
could say all these labels are vultures off of it, but most people
True.
specifically try to target most people try to specifically target it off of just white folks. But white folks have been a part of this culture from day one also. It to where
That's
I
true.
have to, and you being a Bronx cat, I mean, you've seen them out there.
Oh yeah,
You know, you know what I'm saying? It's
absolutely.
just it's just to me, when you look at it in that level, it's how do you represent it? Like like we've been mentioned in the past few weeks,
That's
who was
wild though.
all there, who was in the room. You say, who was in the room, who was all there, and like, and how much do
Right.
you represent this culture being in said rooms? Like, if you're just there and you say, like, when people say, "Oh, I'm a hip hop fan," I immediately think you're not a part of this culture. You just like what's going on over here. That's to me. You just like what's going on here,
You just
and
wearing a
that's
t-shirt.
and that's from people that look like me too, or I'm a hip hop fan. You don't really live. Do you live hip hop, or are you just in love with the music? And that's another thing. That's like for me, when you're talking real hip, like Chuck Chill Out on the radio the other day. Matter of fact, every time he's on the radio, yo, we playing that real hip hop over here. None of that mumble shit, none of that space music. Respect to one of the founders, respect to one of the founding DJs within this culture. No, especially when it comes to the radio. Respect due to Chuck Chill Out all day. But when old heads like that forget the fact that this was always a youth-driven culture, and every few decades, or every decade, every few 5-10 year blocks, a new crop of youth come up and change it to what, for mainstream purposes, or just build and add on to what they represent, how they rebel, how they see the streets, how they see the world, how they see everything that's going on. And yeah, okay, musically, it might not be for me, you, the old head, whatever the case may be, but that's their niche within the culture. You know what I'm saying? And
It all goes back to what we said. I'm sorry to cut you off. It all goes back to what we said last week about perspective, in terms of where were you when you heard that song? You know what I'm saying? That's your perception. That's your perspective. You might not have been around the first 8 years this song, or you wasn't into it the first 8 years this song was out when I heard it first come out. You know what I'm saying? It holds a different perspective and a different meaning to me than it does to you when at the time you heard it. And that's a big deal that gets overlooked every time. It's the whole thing. These kids wasn't growing up in our era or in our generation to hear what we were hearing back then. So they have no idea, no clue. If they've never heard it before, they don't even have an opinion on it. Now they might come around to it as they get older and they'll be like, oh shit, this was kind of dope. This is, there are other MCs that are kicking it just like this now that I can relate to. And I can still get my new shit. I can still get my Future. I can still get my 21 Savage. I can still get my Migos shit, and I can still rock to Joel Ortiz or Crooked Eye or J. Cole or Kendrick or whatever the case may be. There is a lane for everybody in this generation. Is where you want to be at. Is what you want to seek out and listen to. That's what it is at the end of the day. But to say, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, because we're, once again, when we have these conversations, we rabbit holed into the musical part, which is a valid and important piece, because that's how the culture travels by its music. But like Curtis said, and then you're gonna go, Tyrone, my bad. He said, I'm sure our parents was wondering what the hell is an old dirty bastard. That's why I don't frown upon the new generation. Every generation is different. That's what we're talking about. Absolutely.
Yeah, he's exactly right.
My answer when people say that shit, it drives me so crazy. But my answer to when people say is like, what's real hip hop? Me. I'm real fucking hip hop. It's me. I'm hip hop because the way I walk is hip hop. You know what I mean? The way I talk is hip hop. The way I wear my hair sometimes is hip hop. Like, I've lived that life. And it's not just about the music, it's about the culture. And they always, the government and all of these other people always want to talk about how hip hop influences violence, and hip hop never made me fight nobody. Hip hop never made me violent. Hip hop made me dress a certain way, made me talk a certain way, made me walk a certain way.
That was the Henny. That was the Henny, Tyrone.
The violence came from my daddy, who told me don't take no shit. You know what I mean? Hip hop didn't tell me that. I already had that in me. But what I'm saying is, like, I'm hip hop. Look at me. Like, the way I talk, the way I walk, the way I dress, the way I live my life is kind of influenced by hip hop. It's all over. And the other thing too, I like to say is, I hate when people have an argument, but they don't have a rebuttal. You ever notice that? People are quick to say, oh, what's real hip hop? What's real hip hop? But they don't have no answer when I ask them, what the fuck is fake hip hop? What is fake hip hop?
That's too deep. That's too deep for them.
You that there's real hip hop, then if there's real, there's fake, right? So what's the fake hip hop that you're trying to talk about? Because I don't care if it's Soulja Boy with his dancing shit, it's still hip hop. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's still hip hop.
and that's the thing, because again, you throw that shit in people's faces, and number one, you're gonna have those conversations with people who are completely disrespecting the other parts of the culture, and most of those people just specifically focus on the musical aspect of things, and then they'll bring in the, oh well, what fucking what damn, what the hell is the white chick that Ti put on? Fuck, I forgot her name.
What?
Iggy Azalea.
Icky,
Like, you're
yeah.
thinking like, oh, like
Iggy,
Iggy, oh, that's fake, that's this, that's that. But it's like, no, that was, look at that. If you're thinking that she's not a part of the culture, she was a business move. But we don't know how she was brought up into even being wanting to rap. You know what I'm saying? She could have been a B girl or something like that. Or you could say, look at a Doja Cat. Like, they look at her like she's rapping and singing like that. She was a fucking dancer out there, like, and B-boy and B-girl and back in her youth and stuff
I
like
don't.
that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, but then maybe the style of music she does, you might not see her as hip hop, but then you could see her. She was running around with Our Future, which then again, people will look at Our Future. Oh, Tyler the Creator. Tyler the Creator absolutely represents hip hop, but he represents hip hop in his youth, his generation. And
I
it's
don't.
the issue for me is just people just narrowing real hip hop only to a certain style of rap,
Yeah,
while disregarding the people who started this shit first and foremost. If you look at the arm, you know what I'm saying? You clearly disregard the DJ. You clearly disregard the writers, which, if even, we've kind of had this conversation before, and there's debate from the OG writers. We can say that graffiti is one of, if not the first element, because people were doing graffiti before hip hop was a thing. That's why some of the OG writers don't even consider graffiti as a part of hip hop technically, because rock kids were doing it, punk
mm,
kids were doing it, a lot of people, but we adopted it as one of our elements. But
listen.
from the birth of what we call the hip hop, it started from the DJ, and people disregard that. B boys and B girls, people disregard that. Rappers was one of the last elements to, I mean, it's the element that took it this way, but it's one of the last elements. And so when everybody says real hip hop, and then they just start talking music, it's almost like conversation over for me, because you're not just you're only talking about one avenue, and you're not respecting the culture. You're not respecting the culture overall.
Even
even the
if,
first movies of hip hop was breaking. You know what I'm saying?
uh,
Well,
my
Go
Wild
thing is
ahead,
this.
Style.
Tyrone.
Even if, even if you just talking about music in general, right? Like you mentioned Doja Cat, you mentioned Iggy, right? So even if you just talking about music in general, I personally, I don't give a fuck where Doja Cat came from. When I turn, she got that song Vegas on that Elvis soundtrack. That joint pop when I turn it on. I don't give a fuck where she came from. I don't give a fuck if she really care about hip hop or not. I don't give a fuck if she was a cash grab. If we just talking about the music, then we just talking about the music. We don't have to talk about this person's background, where they from, how they got into it. If their song pops and it's in a hip hop song, it's part of the culture. I don't care about Iggy. Um, Iggy song, whatever her songs are, whatever she does, she's part of the culture. Once she makes a hip hop song and people listen to it, people know she's part of the culture. And I'm sorry, but she made white girls have an ass popular. Because before that, white girls didn't want no ass. And then Iggy, that's part of the culture too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm saying though, white girl ass
Well,
is part of the hip hop
I
culture
mean,
now.
yeah.
That's why Ice Spice is out here doing what she's doing. Like, it's all part of it.
It's kind of always been a part of it, to be honest with you. We just talking about the butt cheeks. It's always it's kind of always has been in a way, and some would even credit Kim Kardashian for that, whatever, being a King magazine model and things like that, whatever. We're not getting there. I'm just stating, like, sometimes when people try to discredit, and that those were just names that I mentioned just off the top of the head. There was no real weight behind them, but remembering, like, oh, Iggy Azalea came in rapping with Ti's cosign, and people look at Ti like a certain thing. But if you're not doing a certain style of rap, then people look at you like whatever. But again, to the whole scope of what is real hip hop,
Oh shit, he froze up.
It's him.
I think he is. He frozen.
Yeah, he froze mid sentence. All right,
we
I get what he's. I get what he was saying though. Like you said, once you put that track out and once you spit, that's it. You are automatically a part of the culture. It's one of the few cultures where we're just all super inclusive to every other culture. You have people in Europe who are spitting French rappers, British rappers, Russian. You in Japan and the Philippines, it's crazy over there. They've embraced this culture crazy. I mean, so heavily with DJ dancing, style, fashion, everything that they saw that we had in hip hop, they emulated it, and to their on their end, and what they do over there, to a better part, they respect every aspect and every generation of the culture up until now. They love the old school just as much as they love the new shit. There is no variance. There's no difference. They treat it equally, and
yeah.
that's what we're trying to do here. They've mastered that shit over there,
And
literally.
people hate when we remind people of that like, yo, other countries represent the full aspect of this hip hop culture better than America. And then people like, nah, no, nah,
Yeah,
nah, because this is black culture. It is black culture. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. This is black culture. But as a person used to always remind people, a person that we knew used to always remind people in a certain lyric, from the black to the white, the red and the brown, the purple and yellow, from the Sugar Hill Gang. That verse right there, that color scheme runs the gamut between people and their skin tones, and
word up.
every skin tone has been a part of it. It's just, to me, it's a matter of how do you respect it overall. And as soon as you're just for me as soon as you're just talking about just the music, and you're not paying respect or giving credits to anything else within it, it's like I'll have conversation with you,
It's
but
hate.
that's why I break it down to, oh, so are we talking rap? Are we talking rap? And I will say it just like that. Are we talking rap? Because if we're just talking rap, we're not talking hip hop only. You know what I'm saying? Because even rap comes in different forms and different musical genres too. But it stems from this. But when you're talking just the music, oh, we're talking about rap. We're not talking about the hip hop culture overall. I got it. And that's me. Call me Mr. Specific, call me Mr. Technical, but that's just me.
Even with just the music, like even if you say if we talking rap, like I'm not comprehending the real what's real hip hop. Because even if we talking just rap music, right? If somebody makes a rap song, that's a rap song. So what's fake rap music? What's fake? You know what I'm saying? They talk about real hip hop. What's fake hip hop? What's fake rap music? If you make a rap song, it's a rap song. That's it. You could be a fake ass person. You could be a nerd somewhere in your bedroom making rap songs, but the music is a rap song. It ain't fake. It's a real rap song. Somebody made it. Somebody rapped the shit. It gotta
Is
be.
there? Here's a better question: Is there a Milli Vanilli of hip hop? Is there a really Milli Vanilli of rap music?
We don't know. We don't
Most
know,
of
do we?
most of them are quote unquote. I mean, those are the ones that we look at that get ghostwriters. But no, Millie Vanilli was, we all know what Millie
No.
Vanilli was. They
But
was the ones
they
on
did.
stage lip singing.
But here's the thing, though. Let's be clear about this, right? I noticed that there's something about being a real rapper and just making like industry, because I'm not trying to throw nobody out there, but I watched Lotto, right? I watched Lotto do a live performance, and they had her song. She was doing a performance, and she didn't rap at one time on that stage. She had the mic and she was ad libbing her own song as it was playing on the speakers. So it's like, is that like, what do you? So if you
That's another rabbit hole
that's some
conversation
shit.
where
I don't like
that's
that shit at all.
that's where you're talking rappers versus real MCs. because a real MC is going to have either the instrumental or the TV track. The TV track is going to just have either your ad libs in it or your hook. That's it. Real rappers are going to get up there and actually spit on stage. Most of these people that are just doing the dancing, or a lot of these newer cats who obviously get too high, forget their lyrics, they're just playing their song and either filling in the rhymes or doing the rhymes while the rhymes are going. That's a whole separate conversation that is bigger than just the real hip hop question. But Big
Dan,
O, what
First
up?
of
Dan,
all,
you
we
talking
saw
like
that.
Jada at the Garden.
More
Jada at
than
the Garden was
more than
doing, was
Yes,
doing what
that's
he
what I was
was
gonna
doing.
bring up.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but more than Jada at the Garden.
Yeah,
I
Locks
mean,
versus Dipset.
KRS One. You ain't getting him rapping over his lyrics, TV track. I mean, you might get the instrumental, you might get the TV track, but you're not getting him rapping over his full songs.
No.
Now, I get it if you do that. If you're an MC who does that and you say did like a pop-up on a club and the DJ didn't know, the DJ wasn't prepared, they might not have your instrumental set, then you do what you got to do. But if you're doing a whole show like that, nah, nah. But Big O, what up? Peace to you.
What up, fella?
Are you really working at that point?
Right. But
What up, Bo?
the
What's
question
good?
of the
What's
week,
good?
the question of the week was posed, and you just happened to walk into it at the wrong time where we were just talking about rap because it's bigger than rap. But the question is, what is real hip hop to you?
Real hip hop to me, it's not just rap music, right? It's isn't it? What did it say? 4 or 5 elements. Uh, Rap music, graffiti, breakdancing. Rap music was just part of the culture. It's part of the hip hop culture.
He didn't
It's
even
probably the most
mention
prevalent.
he didn't even mention the
The
people
DJ.
who
You
birthed.
forgot the
He didn't
DJ.
even
Oh man, I'm sorry.
the people who delivered this shit to the world.
I'm sorry. Y'all cut me off. Y'all come play it back. Play it back, man. Y'all
I
cut me
knew
off.
he was gonna forget it. I knew he was gonna forget it.
But nah, yeah, man. It's just part. It's just part of it. You know, it's the part that everyone talks about. It's come to the point where the term rap music and hip hop is now interchangeable. You know,
Right. It says some say fashion is an element, or I'm trying to get it right. Peace to you, Curtis. Fashion is a part of hip hop. It is an element of hip hop. So is business.
hmm
Business has become an element of hip hop because of where it's taken, where this culture has transformed, especially musically and learning about your finance, knowledge of self is hip hop. Things
right.
like that, like self awareness, whether you bring your religion into it, whatever the case may be. But when you think about just the music, it's yeah. See, here's the issue behind it. It's like when you think about just the music, right? It's just people refuse to just break it down. There's subgenres to everything. Just like when you think about rock, you got rock and roll, started by black people, by the way. Y'all should know this by now. But if you think about rock and roll, you got rock, then you got progressive rock, you got heavy metal, you got punk, you got ska, you got like this. It breaks down. Rock breaks down into rap.
Grunge, all of it. Yeah.
Yeah, rap does the same thing where you have the quote unquote boom bap, which that's what people always, this is the real hip hop. Y'all forget that the beginning of rappers was what were they doing? They were the ones, if you want to say dance hall culture, they were toasting at the party and they were talking about how their DJ was better than the next, and then just saying words that rhymed over the microphone. They weren't putting together songs and things like that. But then it evolved to song. And most of those lyrics was how fly I am, I'm better than you, and rapping and this and that and the third, you know what I'm saying? Then it progressed to a little bit more technical style with the boom bap sound by way of the beats and stuff. Then we got the division of mainstream underground. Then we have, even within mainstream and underground, we have those underground, just mainstream, but like, I mean underground, but like surface level, about to break into the mainstream. And then you got the underground who is quote unquote say backpack, hardcore, horrorcore, things like, there's so many divisions and styles of rap. You got country rap, Christian rap, all types of, there's several styles of rap. To me, what makes you real hip hop within that, if you're a person who makes the music, is how do you carry yourself as a person within the culture?
You got singing
That
rap. Great.
hey, whatever. You could say Drake, you could say freaking 50, Ja Rule, LL, they all did singing rap too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Fonte, the person who Drake was majorly influenced by, like Fonte be singing his ass off, but he's phenomenal at
Yep.
everything he does. You know what I'm saying? There's different levels within the rap circle, but it's about
Look at Missy Elliott.
Yeah. Yeah.
Missy
Yeah.
Elliott's a rapper
but a
Mm-hmm.
hell of a
who can sing
producer,
her ass off
We could sing her ass off. Yeah.
but a
and
hell of a
songwriter.
right. And that's where I use the label of producer, because that's another convoluted conversation that we can have another day, because people, to me, conflate beat maker to producer, even though some producers are one and the same, but not every producer is a beat maker. Not every beat maker is a producer, because if you know the
Diddy.
difference, none, but Diddy is a producer, but he's not out there. He's not always the one. He's not usually the one, to what we may know, tapping out the beats.
Yeah. Beat maker.
Right. But
which
then you
which
Same,
is
can,
same,
Dre.
same, thing, same thing we say with Drake. Yeah.
Dre
Dr.
does
Dre.
make beats. Dre does make beats,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
but
Yeah,
as he grew along, of course, he had a team behind him. Everybody knows Mel Man, DJ Pooh, all of these people. They had a team to put it
right.
together. But if it didn't take Dr. Dre's masterful ear to mix and master everything together, that's where he becomes the producer of the whole joint. Because, and it even too, if we were in the studio, right? Tyrone's on the MPC 2000, chopping up the drums and stuff like that. TJ comes in like, yo, I got this piece of vinyl. Use this joint on this time mark. TJ just became a producer of that record, part producer of that record, because you
Right.
contributed. Big
Right.
O
Correct.
comes in.
Right.
Big O comes in to me. I'm the rapper, which I don't rap, but I'm the rapper. Big O comes in. Yo, you should say this instead of say that. He just got songwriter credit and production credit because he added to the mix. It's not just producing, is not just beat making. That's why I always, every time people question, like, yo, what was the production? Yo, the production of the album, what are you listening for when you're talking about the production? Like, are you listening to how well something is mixed? Are you listening
You
to how you listen, or are you just talking about the beat?
But let me ask your
and you
opinion.
know where this goes to?
Go ahead, TJ.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna. Okay, I was
No,
gonna
this
ask.
was goes to from.
Okay, go ahead.
We gonna get this shit together. This is
So
why
real
Okay,
looking
quick,
into the
this goes back to when we used to buy albums, CDs, and tapes. You could read the liner notes. You would see
Yo,
all the names in the
we
production.
read each other's
You can
minds.
see all the names. You can go and see who was, you know, who's credited as songwriters, and you'll see all these names. It's like you expected to see one name on there. No, there's like 4 different names on there. Because you know why? They was all smoking blunts in the studio and was like, yo, that sounds dope, but put that bar behind this one and say this joint first. Your man was like, you know what? Good looking out. I don't even have to give you a shout out. You just a songwriter on my joint. I'm gonna let you eat. You know what I'm saying?
ex-
Now you got a platinum plaque in your crib, and people don't even know why. What did you do? I was like, yo, I added a few bars to this shit,
I was
it's
yo,
like,
I
and
was
I
I
got
was
an
about to
album.
ask the
I got an
same
album.
thing, man. I was gonna say, I was like, yo, is it less important now that we don't buy the physical copy of say the tapes or the CDs where we can actually look and see who's it produced by and who's it written by. I mean, you can still do that in Apple Music or whatever other streaming sites, but people don't really go through the trouble of doing that anymore. You
Right.
know,
And what's to be honest with you, what's more important about buying the physical over the streaming is the way that they get paid and who's still putting out
Right.
physicals, which when you're fucking with certain independent artists and you really want to support them, if they put something out on a physical medium, you buy that first, then hit the streaming. If you really want to support them in a way, that's how most of the independents make more of their money now, with the exceptions too of if you buy their stuff through like Bandcamp, that's kind of like buying the physical because you're paying the artist directly to where they're getting a bulk of the profit more than like Bandcamp always gets their cut, but the artist is getting more of the money now. Where if it's still a major label situation, if they're putting out physical and you want to support that artist, then you buy the physical. If you want to just stick to streaming, you could do that. But when it comes to the majors, they get their money and they play the long game now when it comes to streaming and stuff because they do more now in my eyes. They do more of licensing of music where they make more of their money as far as the labels are concerned. The artists, you're still getting less than pennies per stream. That's why
so
like streaming don't pay the same.
streaming is killing all the artists out there apparently.
To a point, but not really killing because it's actually giving a broader platform to more people to put their shit out. But
But
if
right,
you
but the
want,
artist,
you're not going
but
to
I'm
see
saying
money.
the artist is not pocketing any more money though.
No, they're pocketing money, but they're not pocketing a lot. It's not a lot when it comes like you got to be Drake level and see hundreds of millions of streams a month or a year to see some financial return. You know what I'm saying? You got to be that level. If not, then like shout outs to Drink Champs, but they always have EFN and Nori always have the argument of which is the better route to go, independent or major. And it all depends on your perspective and what you're trying to do. Which EFN will always say independent, Nori always says major. He says major because a lot of the work is done by the label itself to where
Yeah, the
you just
major.
got to come in, you show up, you do your thing, you just get a check and go home. While the independent, you have to do all the behind the scenes and stuff, but you reap more of the rewards. And then EFN and then EFN will also say, but I agree with the major ship, but you utilize what you built independently to then go get the bigger bag from the major.
You know what's fucked up about that?
Right.
That I don't like? All of these old artists from back in the day, right? They talking about how the record labels fuck them, how record labels do this and do this shit, right? And now they out here right now, and a lot of these old school rappers is telling these fucking kids to be independent and the record label's gonna screw you and all this and all that, right? But here's my thing though. They're talking about something they're talking about something that these kids got now that they didn't have. Like back in the day, the only way for you to be a hip hop artist is to be with a record label. It was hard to do independent because you didn't have that. You didn't have all of these things that they have now. So when they talking to these kids about, oh, go independent, and they talking like, oh, I wish I would have did it, motherfucker, you couldn't have did that when you came out. You
And here's the
Without
issue though.
streaming services and Instagram and all these shit these kids got now, yeah, okay, maybe they can do it. But don't talk shit like you should have did that when you came out. You had to get a record deal for the most part.
True indeed, but here's where I could counter that. Everybody for some things to rise and grow to the levels that they get to, people got to take a hit, right? Somebody before has to take the bumps and the bruises, right? And when we're talking about the old school rappers, when it comes to labels and shit like that and record labels, I mean, besides the factor of they got on because they might have known somebody in the labels and things like that, they still put in the groundwork. The only difference now is it's more global than it is regionally. Where regionally you could have popped in and be like, yo, this can go global. Let's take a chance on them. But where they did get screwed at was details and wording in the contracts and things like that. Like a lot of the things that people talk about now is like how these labels own their music in perpetuity and across the galaxy. Like they say that these contracts have this shit in there, like where through the galaxy, through the universe type levels of language in the contracts, to where these labels now own your shit like outright. You know what
All
I'm
right.
saying? But so they're taking their experiences of, yeah, we got fucked over, but listen to us so you don't have to. And then now the way I'll be honest with you, the way the label and the machines are working nowadays, they work like this. You like Tyrone, you got what 20,000 on TikTok followers, right?
Yeah.
They're gonna say, all right, yo, the Lisper is popping on TikTok. He's got 20,000 followers. Let's invest $200,000 in him and let's bring him on, because now you are bringing your 20,000 following along to this situation, and they're now
to that
hoping to
platform.
capital. They're hoping to now capitalize off of your 20,000 followers. Meanwhile, when back in the day, you say I had Staten Island on lock, whatever, and I'm buzzing on Staten Island. So now people are gonna look into and take the chance, like, oh, they got the whole borough, but this dude got a sound that let's try it and let's broaden them out. So now here comes the marketing and things like that, where they're now putting the dollars behind you to get you out there further. But today they're just utilizing what you did, the muscle you put in, to now say, oh, our imprint is automatic because this man's got 20,000 followers. We don't have to do no more than that.
Exactly, because even if out of those 20,000 followers, 1,500 people go and then look into the platform or invest or find something else. That's 1,500 people they didn't have yesterday, or that's a 2,000 people they didn't have anymore. And that number can grow because it's going to be word of mouth. It's going to be spread organically, and they didn't have to spend a dime on extending
Exactly.
their name and their platform, because now I'm on this shit. I'm like, yo, this shit is dope. I'm telling Dan, I'm telling O, I'm telling Ty, I'm telling Jamal, I'm telling John, like, yo, you all need to get on this shit. And then all of a sudden that becomes a movement. That was dope. My handful of friends become 100, couple of hundred to 1,000, couple of hundred thousand turns into another couple of 100,000. And now they've made their money twice off of
Because
you, and you
and
didn't even
they
get a
didn't have
percentage of that shit.
and
Huh.
they didn't have to invest a dime into any of your marketing or promotion.
Right,
They're taking the
right,
groundwork that you already put in, which is where when
right.
like I mentioned EFN saying, yo, you utilize what you built to then now go get the bag off of the labels. Now you do what Master P did and get that guaranteed bag, and then here you go. You can utilize and you try to make your money the long game. Label, go ahead. Now my name is still popping because you're trying to push my shit, but you paid me for what I'm bringing to you, and you paid me what I think is my value, and that's it. Not a situation of, yo, here's like when we brought up Scarlett not being aware of why she ain't getting $1 million deal, why people are, and it was like, yo, she didn't know that $1 million deal that she's looking for is $1 million loan that she got to pay all of that back. Then for her to make money, she got to then recoup from there on. That's why it does pay to where if you're an indie and you don't mind the work, put in the work and you're going to reap all the rewards. The perfect name that I always love to bring up is Gorilla Nems. That man is killing it straight off the muscle of him. Off him.
Was it
You
Tech Nine? Tech Nine is the
Tech
master of that
Nine.
shit.
Tech Nine is a freaking grandmaster at that. Off the
Yeah.
muscle of him. And then if you want a label situation to come in and then that, yo, you pay me what I'm worth and
Mm-hmm.
I can give you this. You know what I'm saying? And it's a matter of perspective. Do you want to have to be on the leash of somebody and continue to have to make them pay you back? And but they're gonna make your name go a little bit further than most because they got the machine already.
Machine.
Or you got a million followers already, and at least say 500,000 of them are dedicated to you. You're a Rock Marciano. You never have to sign with a label again because you got a hardcore following that's always going to be there when you drop some dope shit. And it's a
Yep.
matter of perspective. It's a matter of perspective when you think about that and thinking of the situations like that, to where I'm like you said, Tyrone. Like, I'm personally okay with the OGs giving them warning shots because some of these contracts are that fucked up. That's why you hear them fighting now, like people fighting now, like, yo, like this whole streaming situation, like, yo, we signed these contracts in the 80s and 90s. Streaming wasn't anything then.
Right.
You got to come up off of some of that somehow, some way. But by way of these contracts that these labels held on to, they don't technically have to do shit. That's part why De La Soul went through what they went through, and then
And I was gonna say
eventually they
that
won.
Right.
that's the Dres argument now. That's what he's going through right now.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so to get back to what you said, Dan, with like the independent artists and everything like that, the key word is work. Do you have it in you to be where you want to go? If you're in it for a check, it might not be for you because you're not going to put in the work to make that check or have that to make that real bread. It is a long game, but you can still eat getting to your destination. But you have to put in that grind. And when you put in that grind, you could blow up and be like a Tech Nine and never need a label for the rest of your life. You have 100,000. You're selling out every show where you got, and all that money is yours. You're not paying no middleman. You're not paying no production company. You're not. All of that is your money. You can put it out and reap it right back. So if you're looking for a quick buck, that's why some of these people are jumping on these labels. They're looking for a quick buck. They're not really
Yo, so
seeing the end
Perfect,
game.
perfect example to all of this before you go, Big O. Griselda, that whole label situation. They had them. They were already on Smash. Then they signed, which some of them signed with Shady. Then they
mhm.
started to get their own deals. Benny went to Def Jam, things like that. They already built their shit. Then they went into a label
For-
situation to capitalize further.
yeah,
That's
Yeah, you can go
like
further back than that. You can go with Rockefeller.
I was gonna say Jay-Z, but I wanted to give somebody current. Jay-Z a little different too, drug
Right,
money, street money. They already came in the game not needing a label. They wanted to partner with. Some people didn't want to partner with. Some
right.
Def Jam took the chance eventually. You know
So
what I'm
so
saying?
so my thing is, so for people who don't know, and including myself, Tech Nine is not signed to a major label.
No, he's Strange Music is his label.
Wow. Okay.
Strange Music is his situation that he built, that he was able to get other artists to sign underneath him.
Hmm.
And that dude's merch game is insane, dogs. His merch game is
Bananas.
untouched.
His
Another,
music is insane.
another, another. You can and then hate it or hate it when I say it like this: Insane Clown Posse. Their
Hmm.
music, their music might not be for you, but Violent J and Shaggy Do Two Dope rappers out of Detroit. They made their own movement. They made their own scene. The gathering of the Juggalos just happened like a week or two ago. I want to go to that shit so bad. I like that's one of them things I want to experience. You don't need a major for what they did. They did their shit on their own. They made it to the WWE or well WWF at the time wrestling. They
Yeah,
got
I
their
remember.
own wrestling promotion and things like that. Like, but they made it off of their own muscle and creating their own following of people that are like it's. And you want to talk about a multicultural mix of people that are all under one accord. That's where I give props to juggalos. We might look at them as weirdos, things like that, but when they say whoop whoop and they throw it up like that, like it's all love in that whole community is love. But if there's any, you want to talk about independent presence and a route to go to capitalize and earn on your own in a major way, you could, like we said, we can look at Insane Clown Posse. You can look at Tech Nine. Master P gave people a blueprint. Jay Z, ironically, has an album called The Blueprint. But Rockefeller gave a blueprint to do it in a major way. Griselda did it in a major way, and I don't even know how we rabbit hole to this, but this has been a great conversation overall. But funny enough, again, talking about what's real hip hop, but we're talking about the intricacies in the culture behind the musical aspect of things. Again, this culture is deeper than just the music. You know what I'm saying? Just to spin it all back, this culture is so much deeper than just the music. It's so much deeper.
Absolutely.
But let's move on to the main shit that we're talking about today. Because I'm sure if you're a sports head, you've been paying attention to if you follow us, you pay attention to the NFL. That's like our A1 number one joint that we talk about here besides basketball. And I don't know if y'all have gotten the vibe, but within at least the last decade, from the emergence of a Tom Brady and Peyton Manning and things like that to where we're at now, quarterback is always A1 number one first thing out of most people's mouths. But where people have been around for the 80s, the 90s, and all that, where the running back used to be a very important piece to a team. Some teams, it was the piece. Look at a Barry Sanders or look at like a Walter Payton, like where they were the offense. But the running back position has become a piece that feels like it's lacking in value now. And it's so interchangeable to where people really feel like, oh, this person is at the end of their rookie deal. Fuck them. Let them walk. Let them walk, and we'll pick up another one out of the draft. Like that's how interchangeable the running back position is becoming. So, and we're talking about this because y'all New York Giants, not yours, Tyrone, but y'all New York Giants, it's almost like they're seeing no value in Saquon Barkley. Yet they paid Daniel Jones the bag, which is, yeah, I don't know how, but whatever. Tony Pollard of the Dallas Cowboys, I believe he signed his franchise tender, but he's shown to be worth more than the franchise tender, the franchise tag, especially with them letting Zeke walk. And then Josh Jacobs in Vegas with the Raiders had his best season of all seasons last year and only progressively gotten better each and every year and has not signed his franchise tag. So it's like, how do y'all see the running back position in today's NFL or in today's football period?
I feel as though and I'm not as knowledgeable on football as you guys are, but I feel as though the way the not so much the officiating, but the way the rules are set up now, it's more becoming a passing league, and so running backs, to me, in my opinion, are not so much as a premium. But teams don't want to spend too much on a running back now because, for one, it's a passing league. For two, running backs out there are constantly getting hurt. Think of people think of players like Todd Gurley. They don't want to put that money in that position anymore. The fact that Ezekiel Elliott is pretty much a free agent still is kind. I mean, and I am not a Dallas fan. I'm a huge Ohio State fan, but he still doesn't have a job. Like, that's crazy to me. The fact that kickers, they were saying, I've seen that kickers right now are averaging more, have a higher average salary than running backs. It shows what direction the league is going in. I mean, Saquon Barkley, yes, he deserves a bag. Daniel Jones had 3 good games, and he got the bag. I'm not sold on Daniel Jones, and I'm a Giants fan. So Yeah, Saquon definitely deserves his bag.
Oh, I know you say you're not sold on Daniel Jones, but can you blame Daniel Jones when he's running for his life every time he snaps the ball? It can't
Yeah,
be all on Daniel Jones, man. I mean, you put any quarterback behind those type of offensive lines, they're gonna look regular, if not worse. We've all seen how a quarterback does behind a solid offensive line.
But also,
Now,
but point
if
made though, TJ, before you continue, was
yeah,
your Giants showing more value in a Daniel Jones over Saquon Barkley,
right,
who was
yes.
damn near your whole offense.
Everyone knew where the
he
ball was
was,
going.
he was.
Go ahead, Tyrone.
Here's the problem, and we act like my bad. We act like we didn't see. Well, I don't think we noticed it before, and we're noticing it more now. You see, we talk about Walter Payton, we talk about Barry Sanders, we talk about the running backs back in the day, but those premier running backs had other, they had that extra shit that made them different. Like when we talk about a guy like Marshall Faulk, who could pick up the blitz, who could line up in the slot and catch passes. We see Christian McCaffrey now. Christian McCaffrey can do everything on that offense. He can line up in the slot. He can line up as a wide receiver. He can pick up the blitz. He can block. He can run off. You know what I mean? So these running backs do have to do more. And when I see somebody like Emmitt Smith, I say Emmitt Smith stole money for years because I could have been the running back for the Cowboys.
Facts.
That offensive line, I could have ran through there, bro. Emmitt Smith didn't do anything special. He saw the hole, he ran through the hole because that hole was made. It was wide. It was like a river. You know what I mean? It was like, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So now when everybody starts talking about two tandem backs and all this other bullshit, if you're a running back in the NFL and you don't learn how to pick up the blitz, you don't learn how to block, you don't learn how to catch the football out of the backfield, you
You
don't
don't have a
learn
job.
how to line up as a slot receiver and run those routes, then fuck you, bro, because you're not gonna get what you think you're gonna get. Saquon, I'm sorry, but Saquon can't catch. Saquon can't pick up the blitz. Saquon can't line up in the slot and run a route. So Saquon's not as valuable to me as a Christian McCaffrey.
You're wrong there. You're wrong there, Ty. You're wrong there, Ty.
Yo,
Saquon can do all of that.
no, he
They don't
can't.
use they don't use him that way. They don't use him that way.
Yo,
Saquon caught a game-winning touchdown before he rolled his ankle against the Saints, and he blew by the corner that was guarding him. All right, a linebacker cannot line up with Saquon Barkley in the slot. It's just
so,
unfair. It's
so
not going to happen.
okay. So if that's the case, right, and you're running back in this league, you got to figure out a way to put that out there. Because you seen it. I didn't know Saquon could do that shit. And
I
once in
agree
a
with
while
you.
ain't enough. Once in a while ain't enough. You know what I mean? You got to do that shit all the time. You gotta
You're
be.
right,
I agree
So
with you.
Saquon got to go to the coach and say, "Hey,
but
listen,
he doesn't
I
call the
line up in
plays,
the
bro.
slot. If I line up in the slot, I can bust these linebackers' asses."
He
He got
doesn't call the play. He doesn't call the plays,
I
bro.
was gonna say, and that was the point that y'all both kind of just said. Now is like, yo, think about it in like wrestling's terms. We could think somebody should be like somebody who's over. We think that they should fucking be making runs for world championships and things like that. But guess what? If the writers don't write you in, you try to
You
do
ain't
what
getting
you
that
can.
shot.
You try to do what you can do on camera when the writers do write you into the show. Same thing goes with the play calling. The play calling has to go towards the running back. The play calling has to go to the running back, and the running back has to deliver it. And they have to show. That's where I mean Saquon Barkley, if not injured or if not playing the Eagles, always delivers. He always delivers. You know what I'm saying? He does deliver, especially against weak opponents and things like that. Some of these running backs always do deliver. But for me, I just can't get past the point when it comes to him, specifically him. You paid Daniel Jones, a person who y'all probably should have cut, and he should be a backup in the league. Y'all paid him his money and y'all found value in him, but not value in the person that helps him the
You're
most.
right. You're right. But here, let me say this, and this is why we get so disappointed when these guys come out of college. They had a system built around them. When you get drafted, If you get drafted to a passing team, you're not getting those touches, bro. No matter how good you are running in between the tackles or taking it to the outside.
But if you
You
get the
drafted into a
touches,
system,
if you get the touches,
you have to assimilate to the system.
yeah.
Except, I mean, besides Barry Sanders.
I understand what you're saying, man. If you get the touches, you have to make the most of those touches every time you get them.
Dan,
Every time. Every time. You have to plant your flag and be like, yo, this is what I do. Feed me. This is what I do. I
But
get
um,
what you're
TJ,
saying.
that, like you said, that offensive line was horrible. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there were no
Right.
holes for this guy to run through. We've all
That's
seen
what
it
I'm
every
saying.
second.
so so back to my point. So Saquon had a horrible offensive line, right? And y'all want to say, oh, Saquon could have did this. The offensive line was fucked up. He didn't have the holes. They didn't put him in position to succeed, right? Well, that's back to my point. I think Daniel Jones deserves all the money for what he did, based on what he was dealing with. He deserves all the money. I don't want to hear it. I watched that kid fucking get back there, and he ain't have no help, no nothing, man. And he had to do what he had to do. And the Giants was formidable. I mean, they didn't win nothing, but they was formidable only because of Daniel Jones. I mean, only because of him. I mean, it's crazy to me. But here's the thing too, like, so they had a bad offensive line. So if you're a running back with a bad offensive line, you have to do something exceptional to now get noticed. Like Barry Sanders had probably one of the worst offensive lines in football throughout his career, and he still was an exception running back because he had to figure out, hey, I don't got no line, I don't got no help. I got to create my own holes. I got to find my own path to get these fucking yards. And Saquon ain't got to do that in his
But you
situation.
prove my point. You prove my point. There's only one Barry Sanders, bro. That's what we always go back to. No other running back has been able to capture that with the type of situation that Barry was in and make something. It just goes to how show you strong what a team sport it is now because the defensive linemen and everybody in linebackers are way faster now than when Barry was playing. These guys are running monster
Yeah.
40 times and stuff like that. You can't outrun these dudes, bro. You need blocking now. You literally need blocking. These guys have long arms. They're fast and they're weighing 250, 260, 280 even. And these guys are chasing you down. They're getting there before you damn near have time to receive the ball on the handoff. What are
And
you
look,
doing with that? There's no room to be exceptional because there's no way you can be
Right.
exceptional.
and look,
But you're
look.
making my point that then why do I gotta pay Saquon? If I pay the offensive line and I get the block and I can plug and play anybody I want in there. What does Saquon do to make me think that I need
Because you
him
can't,
if I
because
gotta
the
get
next guy
offensive
can't do what Saquon can do when he has
And
blocking.
and as
That's
y'all
the difference.
say,
Yeah.
what can Saquon do? Let's look at his stats. Looking at his 2022 year, right? 1,312 yards rushing, receiving that year, 338 yards, touchdowns for 10, receiving touchdowns, okay, 0. But I go back to his first year, his rookie year, 1,307 yards rushing, 11 rushing touchdowns, 720 yards receiving, 4 touchdowns. Despite all the injury years in between that, you still have a guy who could give you 1,000 yards. I believe this one, the
Right.
2021 season, he was injured for a bunch of it, even though he only played 13 games. He only played 2 in 2020, so there was nothing there. But it was, I mean, the dude can put the numbers up, but the issue is when you're putting up almost 2,000 yards alone, it's like, what does the rest of the offense do? Like, what is the rest of the offense doing? Now, let me look for
Right.
Daniel Jones stats while y'all talk.
Huh?
Dude is still he's still an elite running back in this league.
Oh yeah.
You
Oh
know what
yeah.
I'm saying?
But I'm saying to
Elite.
you, I'm saying to y'all, with a good offensive line, any decent running back can put up 1,000 yards.
Okay,
We
I
but with
mean,
a good
you're
offensive
a decent
line,
running back, you can
what
put
was
up a
Saquon
thousand yards.
Barkley put up though?
Huh?
With a good
Saquon would be
offensive
putting up
line,
2,000 yards. With
How did how did how did the Carolina Panthers find out and realize what they had in Christian McCaffrey? Where did
because
that come
the
from?
because
Where did
the
that come from?
because the entire offense damn near ran through him.
Well, but how did they get to that point?
Because the play calling had to put him in position to be
But how did
to
how
just.
did how did the coaches?
I'm
Because
telling you.
no, but I'm telling you. So the coaches and all the people that was around that team saw what this motherfucker was doing in practice and said, "Hey, this dude can catch. This dude can do all these extra things. We need to work with him." So
Exactly.
evidently
but
they're not seeing that in Saquon right now, and we don't
no, no,
see
no,
that.
no. That's
No,
not.
hold on,
That's
hold
not.
on,
That's
hold
not
on.
true.
Hold on, and which it is kind of true because he's not getting paid, and they're trying to hang him on by way of this damn franchise tag, which again for running backs is one of the lowest tags in the league. He's like it's only a guaranteed 10 million. Which again, you look at the quarterback position, their money and their shit skyrocketed so high. That's why people get pissed off when the Kirk Cousins is getting 30-something million a year. You know what I'm saying? But yet he has value to
Right. What
his
has
team.
Cursed Cousin won?
Well, he's won games. Not everybody wins a championship. I hate
Right.
that saying. Whatever they won,
Right.
if everybody doesn't win championships, but to what Tyrone is saying, it's valid in a way, but it goes back to the coaching staff. Why is the coaching staff not writing the playbook around him? But then again, when you look at Saquon's numbers, you question, when he's in the script, 1,300 yards rushing is what he's producing. You don't get many 1,000-yard backs anymore.
No, and not only that. I mean, no one is talking about it, but upper management is not bringing in the right guys. They're not. They don't. I don't know if they don't know how to scout. Good run blocking linemen, but everybody they're bringing in is trash. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, this dude, that they got a right tackle now. He finally looked like he's coming around. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, like, who are we bringing in?
But he took time to invest in himself. He took time to invest in himself to be a better person at his position. Same thing we got to do on left tackle, Andrew Thomas, whatever his name is. These guys put work into their craft. So they could be better linemen, so they can open up these holes, so they can pass protect, so a person like Saquon can flourish, so Daniel Jones can flourish. Also, you take it away from Daniel Jones' rushing ability. The man can run. The man can run. He's proven this.
Yes.
First of all, y'all brought up Kirk Cousins, and the reason I kind of don't like Kirk Cousins because he was in Washington all that time on my team, and the reason why he left is because Washington didn't want to franchise him for $27 million, and then Minnesota just like, here, we got the money, take it. I'm like, dude, we just got rid of him because we didn't want to pay that man $27 million, and here it is, y'all going to throw $30 million at him. Right. I was so mad when that happened. But what I'm saying is, like, that's the mentality that I have.
He took Minnesota to the playoffs several times.
I'm saying the mentality that I have.
And Washington is still bottom here.
What I'm saying is the mentality that I have about these running backs is probably the mentality that these teams have. That say, okay, this running back is not producing as much as I wanted him to. He's saying it's the offensive line fault. But if we get a better offensive line, we might can find a cheaper guy that can do the same shit.
And that's the approach that they're taking on running backs. I'm gonna come back to that in a second. But look at that Daniel Jones shit. Like the Giants invested in a quarterback with a losing record. Now it's a team game. It's a team game. It's a team game. But the way that they put emphasis on quarterbacks these days, I'm not letting that slide.
But Dan, real quick, right?
No.
When did Dable come into the Giants organization?
I don't know. That's y'all team.
Okay, I think it was
last year was his first year. Last year was his first year.
Okay, so now you see the numbers. You see the numbers that he had with Dable. Like, it's considerably better. I mean, and I'm not trying to justify giving this man his money because, like, you really ain't show much. But with that last season, yeah, he showed a lot. He did show progress.
What's the
with the new
because the coaching staff work to his strengths, not his weaknesses. And that's the problem in the NFL. Not every coach is going to work to their team's strengths. They're going to work what system works for them because that's what they know, regardless of the personnel. And that's why they get the results they get. Instead of coaching to their team's strengths and trying to hide their weaknesses, even the Giants, their defense was blah, right? But they stayed, their defense was enough to keep them in the games and win games. What they had, they coached to their strengths. They tried to cover whatever weaknesses they had. And when they couldn't, they got exposed like they did against the Eagles every time they played them last year because the personnel was better, the coaching was better, and they knew how to exploit the weaknesses better because they had better personnel to do it.
Right.
That's what the game boils down to.
Let's answer
If you're
Curtis.
not,
My
the
bad.
defense hammers right at your weakness every time. That's why Bill Belichick is a coach. He takes away your strengths and wants you to beat you with the weakest players. And that's how they lost in the Super Bowls to the Giants because the Giants weakened what they took away. They got beat with their weakest players.
Now
You only
let's
go
look at
ahead,
Curtis.
Dan.
Let's look at Curtis's question, and he asks, why aren't the receivers or other positions having these franchise tag or payment issues? Why aren't they expendable like the running backs? And it's just kind of goes to, from my point of view, it goes to the way the game has changed. I.e., you see the quarterback franchise tag minimum is 32 million. Linebackers at 20 million. You're always going to pay your linebackers because the linebackers are quote unquote the quarterbacks of the defense. And when you find great, especially great middle linebackers, they're hard to come by. And everybody knows defense wins championships. That's why you see the higher numbers going throughout with the franchise tags. Wide receivers at 19.7. And that's because guess who's the quarterback's best friend nowadays? It's the wide receiver.
Wide
Plus
receiver.
some of your top wide receivers commanded the bag that upped the franchise tag, which the franchise tag, I believe, is the average of the top like 3 to 5 salaries in the league. Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we keep going down to defensive end. Once again, defensive ends, you can't. This is a position that you can't replace or just can't get just anybody on. The whole defensive line, to be honest with you, that's why D tackles are next. That's why offensive linemen are next because we already kind of briefly talked about the importance of the offensive line. Then it goes down to the cornerbacks and the safeties. You need top-notch defenders to stop or slow down these top-notch wide receivers. Then we bring it down to the tight end. The tight end value has went up over the years with a lot of these pass-catching tight ends. Then it brings it down to the running back, which again, it kind of shows how the position is valued. It's looking at just how financially it shows how the position is valued. The position has become a turnstile position to where, like Tyrone was mentioning, why do I have to keep you at 20 million a year when I can just go draft a guy who can probably do something the same and similar to you and hit these same holes or lack thereof that my offensive line is creating for you. You
It's
know,
crazy.
and then two, you're always I see you, Tyrone, and then when you think about it, when you get a rookie running back, especially one that goes quote unquote unnamed or lesser known type back, like somebody that wasn't like big time, everybody's talking about them on Saturdays in college. You're getting a kid that's hungry, that's just trying to find their spot. So they're willing to do anything and everything, even taking less touches. And so to me, that's part of why this position just seems so expendable and is becoming a dinosaur in the league. That-
Also, it goes back to what Tyrone was saying, what you were saying too, Dan. But if you asking him to pass block to pick up the blitz, if you asking him to go out to the slot, if you asking him to do touches, if you asking him to catch sweet passes, he's got all these jobs. Shouldn't he be getting paid to do all these jobs? Because nobody else has all these jobs outside the quarterback.
that
Exactly.
part,
The tight,
that that part,
Maintenance
but
tight
then
end.
that part, but also too, when you look at say somebody who's out there commanding all this money or trying to command all this money, and they're looking at that, they're looking at themselves like Saquon. oh, I've gotten injured these years. Like, yo, I'm not trying to get injured no more, so I'm not trying to be in those positions. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it sucks. Go ahead, Tyrone. My bad.
When I think about wide receivers, though, I think about the fact that wide receivers don't have the same variables as everybody else. Like if you're a top wide receiver, you can go out there and prove yourself easily because all you got to do is beat your man, get open, and you get passes. So wide receivers they have an easier job of proving their skill level. You know what I'm saying? They don't have to depend on blocking. They don't have to depend on the scheme. They don't have to depend on nothing. If they run their routes and they get open, they can get passes. And all they have to do is catch the fucking ball and get open a lot. And they can find ways to earn their money more differently than a running back who has to depend on a lot of other people in order for him to be successful. You know what I'm saying?
But yeah, I agree with you. But also too, like the best of the best in pass catchers are hard to come by. Also, so that's why. And then again, the quarterback's best friend is the wide receiver. Even though the quarterback's best friend should be first the offensive line, then the running back, because those 7 players or those 6 players are the ones there to protect you the most. And
Facts.
then two,
Mm.
especially why it looks crazy that the running back position has become so devalued is because for the right play callers, if you implement the running game the proper way, the running game takes pressure off the passing game, which opens up lanes for the wide receivers to do their job more effectively. And then two, for your point, don't get it twisted. A running back should know how to block. It's the diva wide
Oh,
receivers that you might see do the little phantoms because they don't want to get hurt, because they want to get paid, because they know they are the surest hands in the team. They are the best players in those positions. And usually, if you're the right play caller, yes, sometimes you got to call on those types to make certain blocks that are needed, but you got other ones that you can also plug and play into those positions for blocking purposes.
also, we're missing how a running game can demoralize a whole entire defense. If they just shoving
100%.
it down your throat and you can't do anything about it, it doesn't matter what kind of wide receivers you have on your squad. That's just bonus after that part because they're just coming at you. You know it's being run and you can't stop it. That is the most demoralizing shit you can do
Hey,
to a defense.
Yes.
Is
No,
just
And
run it down their throat.
you
hey,
know
and
how
Dave.
don't,
you
don't
know
don't
how
forget
we're
about play action passes and all that too. And
yeah,
yeah,
you know how we're adults. We that whole point TJ made was every second was pause worthy, but we didn't pause none of
you're like, hey, you.
it. What up, Tyrone?
That that's what happened to your Eagles in that Super Bowl with Kansas City too. They started
Absolutely,
they started
absolutely,
running on them and they kind of like took the defense out of it.
absolutely. I'm
But
not, and you ain't gonna offend me with that.
but
Absolutely.
speaking of your Eagles, Jalen Hurts is part of the problem too. All of these quarterbacks now that are taking off, scrambling and running and getting more rushing yards than these damn running backs out here is making these teams go, hey, we can if we got a good running quarterback, we don't need the running back as much
That's a
neither.
fact.
They're
Don't
doing
That's
a
a
lot
don't
of
fact.
that shit now.
don't blame Jalen Hurts in that mix. This
It
goes
is
back,
him.
but you look, see, but this is, but when you're looking at only one portion of the thing, you got to look at the whole scope of everything. Lamar Jackson, when his offensive line breaks down way too often, and a lot of the times the once again we're bringing it back to the play callers. The play callers are calling these designed runs to utilize the talents of said player. Same thing when we think about a Michael Vick. We don't remember none of Michael Vick's wide receivers, do we? Unless you were an Atlanta Falcons fan. Shouts out to my cousin Shake. But you don't remember some of these people because of the outstanding abilities of some of those running quarterbacks had. You don't remember some of these players. And then again, you got to look at the play caller. The play callers will either call for some of these runs. The offensive lines will suck that bad that they have to run. You know what I'm saying? But if you're a play caller, like you mentioned, Tyrone, with these running backs, it would behoove a coach to not utilize the strength of every single aspect of your team. That's
Like,
why it's valid, and it's even more valued to have a solid running back
you
that can do a little bit of it all too. Because now the
Im-
threats are coming from
Imagine if
all
Lamar
angles.
Jackson, right? Imagine if Lamar Jackson had Derrick Henry lined up behind him.
no no.
What you doing with that?
He said, no. That's scary. That's why he's
No,
What you doing
no,
with that, bro?
no. If I call for, let's say this, you in the game, in your first half of the game, you call for 5 quarterback runs, you call for 5 runs for your running back. Your quarterback runs 5 times for 75 yards, and your running back runs 5 times for 25 yards. You ain't looking at that running back like, man, this quarterback is getting it better more than you. Like that
The
devalues
running backs the
running back.
reason why that the running backs the reason why the quarterback can run, because if he fakes a pitch, everybody's keying on that running back because they know what he can do when the ball is in his hands. And then all he's doing is sneaking to the outside because there's nobody over there because everybody's keyed on. If you ran 3 straight plays of Derrick Henry up the gut in your face, Marshawn Lynch in your face, and then you have Lamar Jackson go out the next play from the 35-yard line,
on
he's
that running
walking
back.
into the end zone. He's walking into the end zone, bro, because everybody's like, yo, we got to stop this dude.
Yeah.
We
But
have to stop him.
What about when the
not to
quarterback?
mention, whatever shit receiver you have is going to be a 100 reception receiver.
could.
You know what
could,
I'm saying?
Could. But like that's why shouts out to Curtis again. He said, damn, I'm trying to think of Vic's receivers' names. I can't.
Sure.
Was
Even
Rising
when he
on
was
that
in
team?
Philly.
Was Andre Rising on that team with Vic?
He might have been. Yeah.
No,
No,
I
that
don't
was
think
Vic.
so. No, yeah, way
Yeah,
too late.
because he was an old man. He was already walking out the
But
door.
anyway,
I think
okay,
Andre
so let
Rison
me
was
say
Oh,
it
yeah,
like
yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah.
Let me say it like this. Even on the non-quarterback runs, when the offensive play breaks down and the quarterback takes off and runs, right, and he's got all them people around him, and he takes off and runs, and he gets 20 yards or whatever in a scramble. And now it's like, well, if the offensive play breaks down for a running back on a running play, he can't do that. So it's like, damn, the quarterback can run better than you. So, yeah, I mean, that's how it goes,
Because
man.
no, the offensive line breaks down. The offensive line ain't breaking down on a running play. The offensive line is breaking down on a passing play when he got nobody to go throw to, and now the pass rush is on him, and his only reason to get out of there is to escape for his life. That's why he's getting the 20 yards because everybody else is covered their wide receivers downfield. If they release that coverage, the ball is out,
I
and
need
he's
my,
hitting that dude wide open.
I want
You're
my running
missing
back
that
to
whole
escape
point
too.
right there.
My running back better escape too.
Not valid though, and all valid points. It's why you got to watch the game situationally. We can't always just take the game for what we see after stats wise and things like that, because the stats could look to be one thing. That's why we call shit garbage. That's why Eli Manning sometimes looked amazing at times. A lot of them times was in fucking garbage time, where
That's
everybody was left alone. Am I lying, TJ? Am I lying?
Yeah, Eli
No,
looked
I'm
amazing.
not
That's a lie.
arguing. I'm not arguing. You can look at Patrick Mahomes right now. Patrick Mahomes is running for his life half the time. And the only reason he's getting the ball off because he's scrambling around. They left their man and he's hitting a wide open target. He's making up some playground shit that you would do in your backyard to make things happen. And people, there's no defense for that. There's no defense for on the fly play calling in the middle of all that chaos, bro.
Yep.
He's eating up as much as time as he can, and you can throw all the way up to like half your body's across the line of scrimmage. Your whole body has to be across the line of scrimmage for it to be an illegal forward pass. So the rules are working in your favor, and these guys know exactly what they're doing when they start scrambling. Let me
So
scramble out. Let me draw the defense in so I can hit somebody who's running around in the backfield wide open behind the defense. It happens all the time.
okay, so you brought up a name, right? Mahomes, Kansas City Chiefs. This year is going to be interesting because his guy is not going to be on the sidelines this year, correct?
Oh, Bieniemy, the offensive
Bieniemy.
coordinator.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, so it goes back to Andy Reid. He's no slouch.
We're going to see.
He's no slouch,
We're going to
bro.
see.
It's wash, rinse, and repeat in KC until somebody stops it. They still
Yep.
have
And we could
mad
say
offensive weapons. Go
And
ahead,
it
Dan.
lost Juju Schuster, right?
we'll
Schuster,
see
nobody's really missing him.
what we want when it comes to we Juju's in New England. What you want about Andy Reid? His track, there's no real worries about the play calling when it comes to Andy Reid. Don't even
Mm-mm,
think. Don't even think about that.
mm-mm.
Don't even try to discredit. Yeah, we gotta give props to the enemy because he's at where he's at, even though he should be head coaching your commanders, Tyrone. He should be
Yeah,
the head coach of your commanders, not assistant or fucking just offensive coordinator. That man should have the top spot. But the Chiefs are gonna be just fine with Andy Reid, even if Andy Reid is the play caller.
Yeah. What part of y'all missing the point that I'm making? My point that I'm making is I believe that these running backs that want to talk about this money, I believe closed mouths don't get fed. If I'm out in practice and I got coaches, offensive coordinators, and all that, and you said, Dan, that it was about scheme. If I'm at practice and I know I can pick up the block, I know I can line up in the slot, I know I can catch the motherfucking ball. That's what I'm telling them. Hey, yo, put me in the slot. I can catch that fucking ball. Put me in this situation. I can do this. I can do that. You know that they did value you in the running back. So you gotta go out and practice. You gotta go out in these team meetings. You gotta go out there and tell them, hey, I do have more value than just what y'all fucking saying I am. Put me in the slot
Absolutely.
during practice.
So
Let me catch some basketball.
yeah.
so
But
We
if the
not.
off,
We didn't.
I
We did.
I have a
you're
question.
right.
We
But
did.
if the offense ain't built around you,
We didn't miss your point at all. We didn't miss your point
I
at
have a
all.
question to that though. I have a question to that. Is it do you think it's lack of guaranteed contracts and the lack of, these owners want to give out guaranteed contracts that maybe that also
No,
plays a part?
no. And well, it's the part of
injuries.
it. Well, it is because it's just because the position has been devalued as a whole. They're
Mm,
not being utilized, as you said, and as I said in the beginning. At least the past 10 to 15, I would give it even the past 20 years, the NFL has become a passing game. So all the value has been placed on the quarterbacks. All the value has been placed on the wide receivers and the DBs. That's why I showed the franchise where the franchise money and how the scale looks. That literally shows the scale of what they value within this league and what they don't, and why they value it the way it is, because that's where the game has went to. But Tyrone is, again, I didn't miss your point at all. He's totally right. This is where, they need to stop holding out on camps. Get in them camps and start showing these people. Get in them camps and make them understand your value. Even though your absence also can also show your value. But for some reason with this running back position, it's become so plug and play that, like I said before, you can get the brand new rookie that's just hungry to be in the league and will do whatever you say. It doesn't matter. And you're getting
yep.
them at a discount. You're getting him at a where
You're breaking up.
Saquon
You're
Barkley
breaking up.
doesn't come a
It's
dozen.
cheap labor. It's cheap labor. That's what it
A
boils down
Josh
to.
Jacobs doesn't come a dime a dozen. You know what I'm saying?
And we can't hear you. I can't hear him.
Yeah, yeah,
I
you're breaking
because
up, dude.
I pressed mute a while ago. Sorry, but yeah, it like TJ said, it's cheap value. It's the cheapest now. It's shown to be the cheapest
So
position on the field.
so time out. So how much is so it's 700 yards worth millions of dollars? Because I'm saying this: if I can get a rookie running back on a rookie pay scale, and he can get me 1,000 yards if I got a good offensive line, and I got a guy like Saquon, who you saying can maybe get 1,700 total yards, right? Is 700 yards worth that difference in that money? You see what I'm
It
saying?
all depend. It all it I see what you're saying, but there are variables that go with that, and it all goes with how does the rest of the offense work.
Here you go,
Does he
Tyrone.
does those rushing yards equate to him pulling pressure off the quarterback and the passing game to make them work? Are those yards
Yo,
producing
It
points?
goes right,
yo, yo,
right.
do you want a 5-year-old Mercedes or a brand new Honda? That's the question right there.
But it goes even better to this. If he could have got an extra 300 yards, could that have gotten you into a playoff game? Could that have won you an extra two games during out the season? If he got those extra 300, 400 yards, if he was an actual 1,000 yard running back, could you have been a better record this year than you were last year? Those conversations have to be had, bro, because you went with mediocre, you got what you paid for. So let's say you went out and spent the extra money and got those extra yards. Now you're 9-7 instead of 6-9. Looking out on the outside in, well, you could be playing for a wild card that weekend. That brings in a ton of money for the team, extra bonuses to all the players that played in a wild card game, and to the people who are vendors in the stand. It's all relational. It's a trickle
And
down
then
effect
But
on a huge scale,
and
bro.
and the last point to add on to that too, jersey sales, depending on the player who you are, jersey sales, it's money, merch, things like that. Like these, all these things come into play. All these things come into play. If I see Giants jerseys nowadays, if it's not like classic Eli Manning or Michael Strahan or LT, it ain't Daniel Jones. It's
Nope.
Saquon Barkley.
Yep.
It ain't none of the quote unquote no name wide receivers. And I say it like that only because I don't know their names. We know Saquon Barkley. His name and attention alone brings attention to the Giants organization.
When Saquon Barkley's in that starting lineup, you have to plan for him. When he's not, that's one less worry to think about when I go into my defensive scheme for the week. I know he can't hurt me because he's not on the field. So now I can focus more of my attention to Daniel Jones, to the wide receivers, to whoever the backup running back is. If the backup running back beats us, so be it. They made it work. But we're not gonna let nobody else beat us. Daniel Jones is not gonna beat us, and then none of the wide receivers are gonna beat us. If that no name running back or whoever running back we get scores 3 touchdowns in one game and that wins us the game, then tip your hat off to him and be like, "Hey, you got us this time."
Right.
He really didn't. We weren't really scheming for him to do what he did, and
Yeah.
that's why main reason probably he got off because you didn't scheme for him.
Yeah.
He
And
got all these touchdowns because you didn't plan for that.
that's
You
where the
never seen him
quality
rushing again.
that's where the
Yeah,
quality of player and usually when we think about quality of player, we think of those names that are easily identifiable because they made their name because of how good they are.
this is what I'm really confused about, right? If I'm a running back in the NFL and they go to me and they don't want to get my money, and I go, "Yeah, how come I'm not getting paid?" And it's comparable because they saying now that all the money is comparable to your counterparts, right? To your the running backs on other teams, stuff like that. So when I go to them and I go, "Hey, how come I'm not getting paid?" You know, Christian McCaffrey got paid. This running back here got paid. You know what I mean? How come I'm not getting it? Isn't the answer, can you do what they do? That or whatever answer would these teams have to say, "Oh, we're not paying you because Christian McCaffrey got paid because he can do what he does over there." And then where's the position that to say, "Hey, I can do everything McCaffrey's doing. Y'all not letting me do that shit." You know what I mean? Like I don't understand how the conversation goes when the team say they're not paying you and you go, but all these other running backs is getting the money. Isn't the answer is, "Oh, that's because they can do this, that, and the other." And then you can say, "Hey, I can do all that shit too. Put me out there. I'll do the shit that he's doing." So I don't understand how this is a problem. So in my head, in my mind, for me, I don't know if it's true, but for me, the way this shit works, Saquon Barkley can't do what McCaffrey's doing. Period. That's how I see it. That's how I feel about it.
It all comes down to, from my point of view, it all comes down to how does the organization and how does the team value you. That's why a Christian McCaffrey can get paid what he gets paid is because they see the value in him and they're paying him accordingly because they know anything that they ask for, he's going to deliver and produce. And his stats and stuff outside of injury, his stats proved it. You know, Alvin Kamara, it shows the importance to him, especially when, like, say, New Orleans, their wide receiver core always gets hurt. And so he always produces and always shows his value outside of him getting injured or getting in trouble. You know what I'm saying? The team finds value in the player himself. Again, for some reason, and this is with y'all Giants organization, they have just trouble finding value in certain players overall. Like Michael Strahan got his
all the
bag,
time.
but Michael Strahan and that defense won y'all Super Bowls. Eli Manning, it took Eli
Yes.
Manning forever to finally get paid. He didn't get his real bag until he got them 2 Super Bowls. And then they paid him because they owed him.
Yeah.
You
I
can
fell
look at it
asleep.
from
You
that
said Eli
perspective.
Manning. I fell asleep.
I'm with you. I'm with you. But it's you a player like that. It's like they paid him because they owed him because he delivered them 2 Super Bowls. So they
Thanks.
eventually he got what he was worth
Wait,
because he already produced it. Which in
wait.
some cases, some of these players shouldn't have to do that.
Why y'all keep talking about Eli Manning delivered them a Super Bowl? Eli Manning threw one good pass in the Super Bowl, and all of a
Oh
sudden he
man.
delivered them a Super Bowl.
Oh
The
man.
Giants defense
Stop it,
delivered
man.
both of those Super Bowls.
You didn't watch the championship
But
game in San Francisco. Just
Eli
say
didn't
that.
deliver
listen,
no
but
Super Bowls. Okay? He threw one good pass in the Super Bowl, and everybody went crazy. One. And that
Yo,
was
that
his,
dude
Bro,
was
hold on, hold
bro,
that
on.
dude
you
was
didn't see him
deadly
in the
too with the
championship
drills.
game in Green Bay and
His best pass in the Super Bowl wasn't even the one that y'all
you-
thinking I'm talking about. I'm talking about the sideline pass to Manningham in the second one. That was the greatest pass Eli Manning ever threw in the Super Bowl, and that's the only thing I can give him credit for. Eli is
Let's
not
not
well,
even
forget.
good.
Let's not
Eli
forget
not even one of
he
the.
had a run. He had a
just say
run.
you never watched him, bro. Just say you never
I
watched him.
watched him. He's
Let's
garbage.
yo,
Just say you never
let's
watched him.
let's not
Eli's
forget he had
trash.
a
You
run.
did
He had a
not
run.
see him in
Speaking
the
of drills,
championship game
where
against
he
San
was deadly.
Francisco, and you didn't see him in the championship game against
Bro,
Green Bay in like below 32 weather
dude, a
in Green
blind
Bay.
squirrel
He won both
can
of those
find a nut,
championships
bro.
on the road.
A blind squirrel can find a nut sometimes.
but here's the point in me bringing him up once again. Who's the most valued position in the game? The quarterback. Who do they look at when they talk about those Giants championships? It's sad to say, like I said before, the defenses held them teams down to help them win the games, but the person that always gets all the credit is the fucking quarterback. That offense doing just enough to win Super Bowls. And like CJ said, them performances in them playoffs, that Giants organization eventually owed that man that money for 2 Super Bowls. Hate it or hate it. Hate it or hate it. That organization eventually owed that man for them 2 Super Bowls. And that's why he
Ty, that
eventually
first Super
got
Bowl they
paid.
won, Eli led the league in fourth quarter comeback. Fourth
That's what I
quarter
was trying
comeback.
to say.
That wasn't the defense. That was Eli Manning leading the league in fourth quarter comebacks. That means you were losing in the fourth quarter. You realize that, right? The defenses didn't help them. You don't lead the league in fourth quarter comebacks because of the defense.
They was 9-7.
Bro, you led the league in fourth quarter comebacks.
They still wasn't a good team, bro. They was still not a good team.
Yeah, but and TJ, that also kind of speak. Yeah, you lead the league in fourth quarter comebacks, but that also speaks negatively to you in the beginning. Like, where were you in the beginning in the first half of the game?
Yeah,
You know what I'm
I
saying?
admit that.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
He was
yeah,
running
you
for his
did it
life
in
we
the
with
were
that
second
losing.
offensive
half.
line.
You did it in the second half. All well and good. You did it. You did it where it counted. You did it where it counted.
And
But
another thing, how does fourth quarter
but
comebacks not go back to the defense? They buckled
if
down.
you never put
Defense buckled down in the
yourselves in
fourth.
that position in the beginning,
Yeah, because they had an
that's
opportunity
why
to
these
buckle
things are
down.
team games. That's why
You
they are
can't buckle
team.
down with a loss.
That's why.
You can't buckle down when you losing, dogs.
So you took the seatbelt off. You took the seatbelt off and just let it run wild. But yeah, man.
Yo, that
Enough.
defensive line had Justin Tuck and Jason Pierre-Paul on the bench. All right, you think about that defensive line, like, yeah, we're
Yeah,
always gonna be in the game.
yeah, yeah,
Is Eli Manning
yeah.
a Hall of Famer?
OC, Tuck.
It was OC
Yeah, he
Tuck
got 2 Super Bowls, bro.
and Strahan and Pierre-Paul. Back when he had 10 fingers.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know a two-time winning Super Bowl quarterback who's not in the Hall of Fame. Maybe back in the day, but you win two Super Bowls and you're MVP of both of
Well,
them. You're pretty much going to get in.
he's he's getting in first off the muscle of his name first and foremost. That's there's no doubt about that. But yeah, it's two Super Bowls and his opponent helps a lot,
Yeah,
especially stopping that. That's a feat until this day. That is, but I froze up because we talking way too much about these Giants. So we're done.
That's what it is. That's what it is. Wow. Okay.
We're done. Tyrone, you know what to do.
Ooh, ooh.
Okay.
Start it off.
What's up? I didn't hear what you said.
I just said it's the
It,
end of the show. You know what to do.
I live in a show improve world, and that's what I try to do in my life is show improve what I am. And I think that if you're gonna get paid, you have to prove that you deserve to be paid. And I don't think these running backs is proving it. And I proved that I deserve to be on this team. I proved that I deserve to run a podcast. And that's all I got to say. Well, I thank you guys for being who you are, and the whole you know.
Yo, great show today, man. I love. This is not my, like I said, not my area of expertise. So I'm learning, man. I love to learn, man. Um, shout out to the listeners. Shout out to my counterparts. Can't wait for the next weekend show. Yeah, man. Shout out to Jamal, man. Wrapping up on his doing what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? Look forward to seeing him next week. Yeah, that's about it, man. Oh shit, TJ, where TJ at?
TJ disappeared into the light skinned ether. So y'all know what it is. Once again, as always, StarFirePodcast.com. Keep saying I need to update it. Eventually, I will. We'll talk about that maybe next week or one of these weeks. So y'all not going to talk about the NBA expanding to Vegas and Seattle. Once we get a little bit more information on that, we'll do some of that. But because Seattle has long been deserving of a franchise back there. But we'll talk about that next week. TJ, you're back and frozen.
Real quick, shout out to Magic Johnson to be um being an owner in the NFL. He's a part owner of your team now, Tyrone. The Washington Commanders. That's a strong look. Um, Another dope conversation today. The topics was on point. Love the question of the day, Dan. We really got deep into that today. That was dope. And I love the differences of opinions and perspectives on here. It keeps the conversation lively. It sparks debate. It gives you different perspectives on and out views of how people think and how they see stuff. So I always love that. Another dope show today, gentlemen. Love y'all.
Word. Love you too, brother. And education is what it's about. If you're not in the know, you know what I'm saying. We got to definitely educate the unintelligent and the lesson knowing. You know what I'm saying. But yeah, as always, hooksrub.com. 20% off your order. Use the code STARTING5. Like I said, man. Shout out to the homie Jared. # Blackout Podcast. Dope, dope, dope. One of the best seasoning companies that I personally use. I need to go order some more myself or some of the good shit that he got. But yeah, do that. Support us everywhere. The StarFirePodcast.com. Peace. See y'all next week.